It was a cold, bitter night on the outskirts of Halcyon City, where the lights of the sprawling metropolis faded into the obscurity of the Forgotten Zones. Here, at the edge of the world, stood a figure, a being not quite human, yet embodying a profound sense of human melancholy. Her name was Lyria, an alien girl with the weight of 2 worlds on her slender shoulders. Lyria's eyes, a vivid shade of cerulean that flickered with bioluminescent light, stared out into the abyss below. The bridge where she stood was infamous, a place where lost souls often ventured with heavy hearts and burdens too great to bear. The wind whipped her silver hair around her face, a stark contrast to the dark sky. Her thoughts were a turmoil of despair and longing. Lyria had fled her war-torn planet, seeking refuge among humans on Earth. But acceptance was a rare commodity. Her differences, which were as stark as night and day, her skin, a soft glow of moonlit silver, her ears elongated and pointed, her voice a melodic symphony that seemed too beautiful, too alien, had marked her as an outsider. The humans had a saying, "You can never understand someone until you've walked a mile in their shoes." But what if you were Lyria, whose very existence was alien to those around her? She had tried to adapt, to fit in, yet every gesture of friendship was met with suspicion, every attempt at connection repelled by unseen barriers. As Lyria stood on that bridge, contemplating the darkness below, she believed she was ready to end it all. The pain of isolation, the relentless ache of being forever an outsider, was too much to endure. She closed her eyes, a tear tracing a luminescent path down her cheek. Suddenly, a voice broke through the howling wind. "Don't do this," it said, warm and unmistakably human. Startled, Lyria turned to find a young man standing a few paces away. His features were soft, concerned, and utterly human. He was wrapped in a worn-out jacket, his hands buried in the pockets as if searching for warmth within themselves. "Why do you care?" Lyria's voice was a mixture of surprise and bitterness. "You don't even know me." The young man stepped closer, his eyes never leaving hers. "Maybe I don't," he admitted, "but I know pain. I see it in your eyes. It's the same pain I see when I look in the mirror. We might be from different worlds, but suffering doesn't discriminate, it's universal." Lyria looked at him, truly looked at him. He was nothing like the others who had recoiled from her alienness. There was a genuineness in his eyes, a shared understanding of sorrow that transcended species. "Why are you here?" she asked, her voice a whisper lost in the wind. "I come here to think," he said, looking away toward the city lights. "To remind myself that there's still beauty in the world, no matter how dark the day might get." "And tonight," she pressed, curiosity piquing despite her despair. "Tonight, I came because maybe, just maybe, I needed to save someone. Or maybe," he added with a small wistful smile, "I needed someone to save me." Lyria took a deep breath, the air cold in her lungs. Here was a human who saw her not as an alien, but as a kindred spirit, another soul adrift in the vast, indifferent universe. For the first time since her arrival on Earth, she felt a connection, fragile yet real. "I don't even know your name," she said, a tentative step back from the edge. "It's Eli," he said, extending a hand toward her, palm open, an offer of peace and understanding. As Lyria placed her hand in his, a feeling of warmth spread through her, a stark contrast to the icy gusts that enveloped them. Maybe, just maybe, this was the beginning of understanding, of healing. Maybe, on this bridge of despair, they had found something utterly human, hope. The silence that enveloped them after their hands touched was profound, filled with the subtle noises of the night and the distant hum of the city. Eli and Lyria stood side by side, no longer strangers but not yet friends, connected by a shared understanding of pain and solitude. The wind calmed for a moment, as if giving them space to discover the depth of their newly found bond. Eli was the first to speak. "Tell me about your world," he said gently, his voice carrying a genuine curiosity that felt like a balm to Lyria's raw emotions. Her eyes flickered with a mixture of pain and nostalgia. "It was beautiful," she began, her voice soft as the memories unfolded. Vast oceans of sand that sparkled under twin suns, skies painted with the broad strokes of nebulae. But beauty often masks deeper struggles. "My people are divided, fighting over resources, over beliefs." Eli listened intently, his gaze never wavering from her face. "Sounds a lot like Earth," he murmured. "We have our own divisions, our own wars. Sometimes it feels like the universe is just a series of conflicts, stretched across the cosmos." Lyria smiled weakly. "Perhaps that's why I thought I could find refuge here, among others who might understand what it means to be caught in ceaseless strife." As they talked, The barriers between them seemed to dissolve, layer by layer. Lyria spoke of her flight from her planet, a daring escape amidst chaos and destruction, her arrival on Earth filled with hope that quickly turned to disillusionment. Eli shared his own story, his struggles with loss and alienation, his fight to find meaning in a world that often seemed indifferent to individual suffering. "I used to paint," Eli revealed, his voice tinged with a loss of a different kind. "I would capture the sky, the sea, the faces of people I knew. But when my mother passed away, it felt like the colors faded. I stopped seeing the world in the same way." "And now?" Lyria asked, her tone encouraging. "Now," he sighed, "I guess I'm trying to find those colors again. Maybe that's why I stopped you tonight. Maybe I sensed that you too were looking for something lost." Their conversation continued, the night deepening around them. They spoke of fears and dreams, of the possibility of a shared future where beings from different worlds could find common ground. The bridge, once a symbol of finality, became a place of connection, a conduit for understanding. As dawn approached, the first light painted the horizon in hues of orange and pink. The city behind them slowly awakened, unaware of the small significant changes occurring at its fringes. Eli looked at Lyria, a decision forming in his mind. "Would you like to see my world? Not the dark alleys or the cold bridges, but the places that might remind you of home. The ocean, the open sky, places where the world seems to hold its breath in wonder." Lyria considered his offer, a flicker of excitement kindling within her. Here was a chance to see Earth through the eyes of someone who might understand her own displacement, her own longing for beauty and peace. "Yes," she replied, her voice steady with newfound resolve. "Show me your world, Eli. And perhaps along the way, we can find a path that leads us both back to the colors we thought were lost." Together, they walked off the bridge, not as alien and human, but as two beings united by a shared quest for belonging in a vast, often unforgiving universe. The ocean greeted Lyria and Eli like an old friend, its vast expanse a canvas of shifting blues and greens, reflecting the early morning sun in a dazzling array of light. They stood at the edge of the sand, where the water gently lapped at their feet, the rhythmic sound soothing Lyria's alien heart. For a moment, she could imagine that the waters were not of Earth but of her distant strife-torn home, where seas of sand once sang similar, whispering tunes under the twin suns. Eli watched her face, noting the way her eyes lit up, a stark contrast to the darkness he had seen on the bridge. "It's called the Pacific," he said. "It's vast and wild, and it reminds us that some things are too powerful to be tamed." Lyria bent down to let the water run over her hands, marveling at the sensation, so different yet reminiscent of her planet's less tangible seas. "On my world, the sands move like water. They create dunes as high as your mountains here. We used to read their shapes as one would read a book, to predict the weather, the wars." Eli's curiosity piqued as he listened, his imagination ignited by her descriptions. "You must miss it," he said softly, his voice carrying a weight of empathy. "I do," she admitted, her gaze lingering on the horizon. "But there is something about your ocean. It's as if it speaks of peace and turmoil in the same breath, much like my home." As they walked along the shoreline, Eli introduced Lyria to the earthly concept of surfing. They watched as surfers danced across the waves, a ballet of humans in harmony with nature's powerful forces. The sight was mesmerizing to Lyria, who saw in their art a metaphor for her own life, the precarious balance between riding the waves and being swallowed by them. "I never learned to surf," Eli confessed with a laugh. "But it's one of those things that makes you appreciate the bravery of humans, their desire to find joy even in the face of great forces." Lyria smiled, a genuine expression that reached her eyes. "Perhaps I could learn. It seems a fitting way to embrace this world, to ride its waves." Encouraged by her enthusiasm, Eli suggested a visit to an artist's colony located further up the coast. "It's a place where people like me, who've lost their colors, go to find them again. They use canvas, sculpture, music, every medium possible to express what words often cannot." The colony was a vibrant hub of creativity, nestled between rugged cliffs and the relentless sea. Artists from all walks of life welcomed Lyria and Eli, intrigued by her otherworldly appearance and her keen interest in their work. One painter, an elderly woman with hands stained by countless colors, invited Lyria to try her hand at painting. Under the painter's guidance, Lyria dipped her brush into the paint, her strokes hesitant at first, then growing more confident. The canvas before her blossomed with colors she had seen in the sky of her home planet, vibrant blues and purples, the silver of her skin, the luminous hues of her tears. Eli observed the transformation in Lyria as she painted, seeing how the act of creation eased the alienation in her heart. He wondered if art might be the bridge between their worlds, a way to convey the unspoken, the unseen, the unshared. As the day faded into evening, the artists gathered to share their stories and art, embracing Lyria as one of their own. The community's warmth kindled a new light within her, a sense of belonging that she had not felt since arriving on Earth. In the glow of the setting sun, with the ocean symphony playing in the background, Lyria and Eli found themselves discussing the future. "Maybe you could teach me about your world too," Eli suggested. "Not just the struggles and the beauty, but everything in between. We could create something new here, something that speaks of both our worlds." Lyria's response was thoughtful, touched by the possibilities that lay before them. "I would like that," she said. "To blend our voices into a new harmony, to tell a story not just of where we've been, but of where we might go together." In the softening light, as the sea whispered secrets to those who would listen, Lyria and Eli looked toward a horizon that was now theirs to define, where the vastness of the ocean met the infinity of the sky in a promise of endless possibilities. The night was draped in a celestial tapestry as Lyria and Eli found themselves atop a hill overlooking the city, its lights twinkling like distant stars. The hill, a favorite escape for stargazers, offered a respite from the buzz of Halcyon City, and tonight, it offered them a chance to explore the cosmos from Earth's vantage point. Armed with a telescope Eli had borrowed from a friend who indulged in astronomy, they set it up, pointing towards the vast heavens. Each of these stars could be a sun to someone else's planet, Eli mused as he adjusted the lens. "Maybe there's someone out there looking back at us right now." Lyria's eyes lit up with the thought. "In my culture, stars are not just balls of fire. They are the eyes of the universe, witnessing our existence." Her voice held a hint of wistfulness, a connection to her past traditions and beliefs that seemed both far away and intimately close in that moment. With Eli's guidance, Lyria peered through the telescope, marveling at the clarity of the planets and moons that danced in their orbits. Saturn's rings appeared etched in the sky, Jupiter's storms swirled in silent fury, and distant nebulae painted bursts of color against the cosmic dark. "Beautiful, isn't it?" Eli asked, watching her expressions change with each new celestial marvel. "It's more than that," she replied. "It's a reminder of how tiny our troubles are in the scale of the universe." Their conversation shifted to the physics of the cosmos, the laws that govern the motion of celestial bodies. Eli explained theories of gravity, of spacetime, his words painting a picture of an orderly universe, each part locked in a predictable ballet with the rest. Lyria contrasted this with tales from her world where physics was understood not just through mathematics but through the spiritual, where science and mysticism intertwined to define the fabric of reality. As the night deepened, they lay on the blanket Eli had spread out, staring up at the sky now stripped of its scientific veils. Here under the open sky, their dialogue turned to the more personal, each sharing fears and dreams, the conversation meandering through topics as varied as their thoughts. "It seems like you're finding your place here," Eli noted, his tone hopeful. Lyria turned to him, her face illuminated by the moonlight. "I am, and it's strange. Back home, I was a scientist. Here, I am becoming something else, someone new. It's as if I am shedding my old skin, adapting not just to survive but perhaps to thrive. That's all any of us can hope for," Eli said, "to find our path, to grow into who we need to be." Their talk eventually returned to the concept of home, what it meant and how it could change. "Home isn't just where you're from, it's where you find light even in the darkest places," Eli said, his voice reflective. Lyria considered this. Then perhaps, home is no longer a world away but here, amongst new friends, new challenges. They let the silence hang between them for a while, each lost in their thoughts. The universe above them moved at its own pace, indifferent to the epiphanies of two tiny beings on a small planet. Yet, in their shared understanding, in their exploration of both space and soul, they wove a new tapestry of belonging. Eli finally broke the silence, suggesting a project that could combine their skills and dreams. "We could start a collaborative effort, a fusion of art and science. We could use it to teach, to bridge gaps between communities, worlds." Lyria's agreement was immediate, her enthusiasm palpable. "Let's do it. Let's create a place where anyone can learn about the stars, the science, and the stories. A place that feels like home to everyone, no matter where they come from." Their plan began to take shape under the stars, a blueprint for a future where their worlds converged, creating a space not just for themselves but for anyone who looked up at the night sky and wondered. The city below, with its myriad lights and shadows, seemed less daunting from here, more like a canvas waiting for them to cast their colors upon it, a place where the vastness of the universe met the intimacy of human connection. The workshop that Lyria and Eli envisioned began to take shape in an old warehouse by the river, a space large enough to house their grandest dreams and yet intimate enough to retain a sense of community. They named it the Nexus of Dreams, a place where art met science, where the human spirit could reach out to the cosmos and where beings from any world could find common ground. As they worked, transforming the space into a hub of creativity and learning, their own understanding of each other deepened. Eli's knack for mechanical devices complemented Lyria's expertise in alien technology, allowing them to create exhibits that were not only educational but magical. Interactive star maps that responded to touch, holographic representations of different galaxies, and even a small planetarium that recreated the skies of Lyria's homeworld. Lyria worked tirelessly on the planetarium, programming it to display the celestial phenomena of her galaxy, a sky lit by twin suns, where the night was never truly dark, and where the stars sang in frequencies that tugged at the soul. "I want them to feel it," she said, her eyes reflecting the stars she missed so dearly. "To understand that the universe speaks in many languages." Eli, for his part, focused on the art installations that depicted the human exploration of space. His pieces were kinetic sculptures that moved in orbit patterns, creating a dance of shadows and light across the walls of the Nexus. "It's about showing that motion, that journey, without saying a word," he explained. Their opening night was a collage of lights, sounds, and colors. The local community, initially skeptical, turned out in droves, drawn by the novelty of the experience and the genuine passion of its founders. Children ran laughing through the exhibits, their hands reaching out to stars they could only dream of visiting. Adults watched, moved by the representations of universes both known and unknown, their eyes reflecting the light of distant galaxies. Among the visitors were other aliens, discreet exiles and wanderers who had found their way to Earth, drawn by rumors of a place where one could see the skies of 100 worlds. They moved through the Nexus with a sense of wonder and relief, their expressions a mixture of nostalgia and hope. For many, it was the first time since arriving on Earth that they felt understood, seen. Lyria mingled among the guests, her heart swelling with each word of thanks, each shared story of displacement and discovery. One elderly alien, her skin the deep blue of a twilight ocean, embraced Lyria tightly. "To think I would see the nebula of songs again," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "It is more than I dared hope." Eli watched from a distance, his heart full at the impact they were having. When he caught Lyria's eye, they shared a smile, a silent acknowledgement of their journey. Later that evening, as the crowd thinned and the echoes of conversations faded, Lyria and Eli sat amidst the remnants of their creation. The soft hum of the machinery blended with the gentle lapping of the river outside, a symphony of human and alien engineering. "This was more than I imagined," Eli confessed, his voice a mix of awe and exhaustion. "It's just the beginning," Lyria replied, her gaze fixed on the stars visible through the open roof of the warehouse. "We've built a bridge, Eli. Not just between our worlds, but between all worlds that share this night sky." Their talk turned to the future, to the many projects they could undertake, the many lives they could touch. Ideas flowed between them like the river outside, endless and full of potential. In that moment, under the vast canopy of the universe, the Nexus of Dreams was not just a place on a map, but a beacon, a testament to the power of shared dreams and the unifying quest for knowledge and connection. As the night drew to a close, the lights of the Nexus dimmed, but the energy within its walls continued to pulse, a living heart fueled by curiosity and wonder, a place where the cosmos itself seemed to pause and take notice. In the weeks that followed the opening of the Nexus of Dreams, the workshop became more than a mere attraction. It evolved into a cultural landmark, a focal point for interstellar dialogue and human curiosity. As its fame grew, scholars, artists, and scientists from across the globe, and occasionally from across the stars, began to converge there, each adding their voice to the ever-expanding narrative. One such evening, a distinguished astrophysicist, Dr. Helen Miro, visited the Nexus. Known for her work on wormhole theory, her presence sparked a new level of discourse within the halls of the workshop. Lyria, fascinated by Helen's research, which resonated with her own scientific background, proposed a collaborative project. They aimed to simulate a wormhole transition, an ambitious undertaking that would require not just scientific expertise but also a creative manipulation of the technology available at the Nexus. As they delved into the complexities of the simulation, Eli found himself drawn into the narrative of space travel and theoretical physics more deeply than ever before. His installations began to reflect not just the physical but also the theoretical aspects of space, incorporating elements of time dilation and spatial distortion that were hallmarks of interstellar travel theories. The Wormhole Project, with its blend of hard science and speculative technology, quickly became the centerpiece of an upcoming exhibition. Lyria worked alongside Dr. Miro, her alien insights providing breakthroughs in the visualization of nonlinear spacetime that Helen had only theorized about. Together, they constructed a model that used holographic imagery and magnetic fields to create a visual and tactile representation of a wormhole's throat. On the eve of the exhibition, the Nexus buzzed with excitement. Journalists, scientists, and the simply curious gathered under the high ceilings of the warehouse, their eyes wide as the wormhole model was unveiled. The air crackled with electricity as the first test was initiated, the holographic tunnel flickering to life, twisting and turning in mesmerizing patterns. Lyria stood beside the model, explaining the physics with an ease that belied the complexity of the concepts. What you see here is a representation of a bridge through spacetime, a theoretical pathway that could one day allow us to travel to distant galaxies in a matter of seconds, she explained, her voice clear over the murmur of the crowd. Eli, watching from the sidelines, felt a surge of pride. The Nexus was no longer just their dream, it had become a crucible for innovation and understanding, a place where theory met practice and where the barriers between different worlds and sciences diminished. However, the success of the Wormhole exhibition also attracted the attention of more than just the scientifically curious. Representatives from various governments and private entities began to show interest, their intentions not solely academic. The potential of such technology, if actualized, could shift the balance of power on Earth and beyond, a fact that was not lost on Lyria and Eli. One chilly evening, as they closed the Nexus for the night, they discussed the implications of their success. "We need to be careful," Eli cautioned, his usual optimism tempered by the gravity of their situation. "Not everyone may want this technology for the sake of exploration or knowledge." Lyria nodded, her expression serious. "I understand. On my world, technology like this led to conflict. We must ensure that what we create here is used to bring worlds together, not tear them apart." Their conversation was interrupted by a sudden alert from the Nexus's security system. Someone or something had breached the perimeter. As they rushed to the control room, the screens flickered, showing a shadowy figure moving towards the wormhole exhibit. The intruder was unlike any they had encountered before, neither human nor a known alien species. Tall with a shimmering translucent body, it moved with a purposeful grace towards the heart of their creation. Lyria and Eli watched in shock, unsure of whether they were facing a new ally or a new threat. As they prepared to confront the figure, the Nexus filled with a tense anticipation, the night outside echoing with the silent songs of distant stars, a reminder of the vast, mysterious universe they were striving to understand and connect with. Lyria and Eli approached cautiously, their steps resonating softly against the cold concrete floor. The intruder seemed absorbed in the wormhole exhibit, its slender fingers tracing the air where the holographic fields shimmered with potential energy. There was a certain reverence in its movements, a gentle curiosity that belied any hostile intent. "Can we help you?" Eli's voice was firm but tinged with intrigue. The figure turned slowly, its body shifting in the light, becoming more opaque as it faced them. Its eyes, a deep resplendent violet, held a wisdom and sadness that spoke of ancient star-crossed voyages. "I seek knowledge," the being replied, its voice a melodic harmony that resonated with the Nexus's ambient hum. "Your creation here mimics the corridors between stars, something my people seek desperately." Lyria stepped forward, her scientific mind buzzing with questions. "You're from another world? Another galaxy, perhaps?" "Yes," the alien confirmed. "I am from what you would call the Andromeda Galaxy. We are explorers, much like yourselves, striving to bridge the distances between the stars." The revelation stirred a mix of awe and concern in Eli and Lyria. Contact with an Andromedan was unprecedented, and it carried implications far beyond the Nexus's walls. "Why come here to us?" Lyria inquired, her voice steady despite the swirling thoughts. The Andromedan gestured towards the wormhole model. "We detected the energies you manipulated here, rare and delicate harmonies that resonate across space-time. My mission is to understand, to learn, and perhaps to share knowledge." Eli looked at Lyria, sensing the potential and peril in such an exchange. "If we agree to share our findings, what kind of knowledge are you offering in return?" The alien's eyes glowed softly, a spectrum of colors playing within their depths. techniques of cosmic navigation beyond your current understanding, energy manipulation that can power cities, heal worlds, and more importantly, insights into the universal language of the cosmos. The offer was tantalizing, a gateway to advancements they had only dreamed of. Yet, the risks of such an alliance were not lost on either of them. They requested time to consider, to which the Andromedan agreed, disappearing as mysteriously as it had arrived, leaving behind a trail of bioluminescent particles that faded into the air. The next days were a whirlwind of discussions and debates. Lyria and Eli consulted with Dr. Miro and other trusted members of the Nexus community, weighing the benefits against the potential dangers of sharing powerful technologies with an alien civilization. Amidst these deliberations, Eli returned to his latest project, a sculpture that symbolized the interconnectivity of all life, human and alien. The work was intricate, a lattice of intertwining metals and light fibers that pulsed with a soft glow, echoing the heartbeat of the universe. It was a reflection of his hopes and fears, a physical manifestation of the delicate balance they were navigating. Lyria, meanwhile, conducted her own research into the Andromedan signals, using the Nexus's advanced equipment to trace the faint energies left behind by the visitor. Her findings were astonishing, revealing layers of quantum entanglement that suggested a level of technological advancement far beyond anything Earth had achieved. As they stood together in the Nexus, surrounded by the hum of equipment and the glow of celestial holograms, they knew a decision loomed near. The potential for a leap in human understanding was immense, but so were the stakes. Could they risk opening Pandora's box, potentially ushering in a new era or inviting unforeseen consequences? Their contemplation was interrupted by a sudden surge in the equipment, a sign that the Andromedan was near, perhaps ready to hear their decision. With the weight of their choice bearing down upon them, they prepared to meet once more under the vast, watching stars, ready to decide the future of their world and perhaps that of the cosmos. The atmosphere in the Nexus was charged as Lyria and Eli awaited the return of the Andromedan. They had transformed their initial trepidation into a plan that balanced the thirst for knowledge with a need for prudence. In the interim, security protocols had been subtly enhanced, invisible safeguards woven into the very fabric of the building. The Andromedan reappeared at dusk, its arrival preceded by a softening of the air, a gentle distortion that reminded Eli of heat shimmering on pavement. It materialized near the wormhole exhibit, its form coalescing from particles of light into a solid presence. "We have considered your offer," Lyria began, her voice clear and composed. "We are prepared to share our research and collaborate, but under strict terms. We must ensure that this exchange does not threaten the well-being of our world or yours." The alien nodded, its expression inscrutable yet seemingly understanding. "Wise and fair," it responded, the melodic quality of its voice filling the space. "My people value the sanctity of life and peace above all. We are bound by similar concerns." Eli stepped forward, outlining the proposed terms. "Any technology or knowledge exchanged will be vetted for safety and ethical implications. We want to establish a bilateral committee, consisting of members from both our worlds, to oversee the collaboration." "Agreed," the Andromedan replied. "I will convey this to my superiors. We believe in building bridges, not just between stars but between beings." The agreement marked a new chapter for the Nexus. The news of the collaboration spread quickly, attracting even greater interest from scientific communities and governments alike. With the world's eyes on them, Lyria and Eli worked to set up the first official meeting with the Andromedans, planning for every conceivable scenario. In the following weeks, the Nexus became a bustling hub of activity. Experts in various fields, astrophysics, xenobiology, ethics, and diplomacy, were invited to join the newly formed committee. The structure of the meetings was meticulously planned, ensuring that all discussions were transparent and recorded. When the day of the first interstellar committee meeting arrived, the Nexus was under tight security, though it maintained a welcoming atmosphere. The meeting was held in a specially designed conference room that allowed for various communication technologies to operate simultaneously, facilitating a seamless dialogue. The Andromedans, through advanced holographic technology, projected themselves into the room, their figures flickering with starlight. The initial exchanges were cautious but grew progressively more open and enthusiastic as both sides recognized the mutual benefits of their partnership. Lyria presented the wormhole simulation, explaining the intricacies of their model and the potential applications. In turn, the Andromedans shared insights into their navigation technologies, revealing methods of traversing vast distances without the need for wormholes, using natural cosmic phenomena. Eli's role evolved during these sessions. He took on the task of documenting the proceedings through his art, creating dynamic sculptures that captured the essence of each meeting. These works became part of an exhibition within the Nexus, titled Convergence, symbolizing the coming together of diverse entities in pursuit of common goals. As the collaborations deepened, the cultural exchanges followed. Andromedan art and philosophy began to influence Earth's own artistic and ethical landscapes, leading to a broader understanding of alien aesthetics and morals. The Nexus hosted symposiums and exhibitions that explored these themes, attracting thinkers and creators from across the globe. However, amidst this wave of optimism, Lyria and Eli remained vigilant. They knew that such profound cooperation could also attract darker elements, those who might seek to exploit or sabotage their efforts for their own ends. The security protocols they had embedded in the Nexus were not just precautionary but necessary shields against potential threats, both terrestrial and extraterrestrial. As they navigated these complex waters, the duo found strength in their united vision, a bond forged not just by shared goals but by the profound understanding that what they were creating could reshape the future of interstellar relations. They stood together, ready to face whatever challenges might come, guided by the light of stars and the gravity of their responsibilities. The collaboration had grown, weaving a tight-knit tapestry of interstellar intellect and creativity that spanned beyond the confines of the Nexus, casting long, influential shadows over scientific and cultural landscapes. Yet, with the broader reach came greater scrutiny, and not all eyes that watched were friendly. A series of suspicious cyberattacks began to plague the Nexus's systems. Initially subtle, the disruptions grew increasingly bold, targeting the communications between Earth and Andromeda. Eli and Lyria, alongside their team of security experts, traced the source back to a shadowy collective with no clear affiliation, a group that seemed to thrive in the gray spaces of geopolitics and interstellar law. In response, Lyria enhanced their systems with Andromedan technology, which offered sophisticated encryption methods that operated at quantum levels, beyond the reach of conventional hacking. Meanwhile, Eli initiated a series of community outreach programs, aiming to solidify public support and create a buffer of transparency around their operations. One evening, as Lyria was reviewing the latest security protocols, a breach alarm echoed through the corridors of the Nexus. She and Eli rushed to the control center, where monitors flickered with the chaos of an ongoing attack. Their hearts sank as they realized the intruders had physical access. Someone had infiltrated the Nexus. Security teams mobilized, sweeping through the shadow-draped galleries and workshops. The intruders were skilled, moving with a silence that spoke of military training. However, what they hadn't anticipated was the Nexus itself, an entity almost sentient in its design, with corridors and rooms that could be reconfigured at will. Utilizing this unique architecture, Lyria and Eli trapped the intruders within a labyrinth of ever-changing walls and illusionary exits. Confronted by the intruders, they found themselves face to face with masked figures whose motives were as obscured as their identities. "Why are you doing this?" Eli demanded, his voice steady despite the tension. One of the figures, a woman, her voice modulated to hide any distinguishing features, replied, "You're meddling with forces that belong to the shadows. You bring them into the light at your own peril." Before more could be said, the security teams apprehended them, ensuring the immediate threat was neutralized. However, the brief exchange left Eli and Lyria with a profound unease. The incident was a stark reminder that their visionary work had edges sharp enough to attract conflict. In the aftermath, as they assessed the damage and bolstered their defenses, a council meeting was convened with representatives from both Earth and Andromeda. The discussion was grave, acknowledging the reality that their joint venture had enemies who viewed their progress as a threat to undisclosed interests. "We must consider the possibility of a temporary suspension of the project," suggested one of the Earth delegates, his concern mirrored in the faces of others around the table. However, the Andromedan ambassador, a being of light and sound, offered a different perspective. "To halt now would be to yield to the shadows. We propose instead to shine brighter, to expand our reach. Let us not retreat, but advance with greater determination." Moved by the ambassador's words, the council voted to continue, but with increased security measures and a more aggressive counterintelligence operation. The decision was unanimous, and a plan was set into motion to safeguard the future of the Nexus. Lyria, standing beside Eli after the meeting, felt a renewed sense of purpose. "We knew this path wouldn't be easy," she said, her voice a mix of resolve and anticipation. Eli nodded, looking over the now quiet halls of the Nexus. "We're more than just partners in this project, Lyria. We're guardians of a new frontier." Together, they prepared for the next phase, aware that each step forward would be contested, yet undeterred in their commitment. The Nexus, a beacon of unity and innovation, continued to pulse with life, its lights casting long beams into the night, defiant in the face of encroaching darkness. In the evolving narrative of the Nexus, the line between pioneering discovery and the latent perils of such ventures became increasingly evident. As Lyria and Eli advanced their project with undiminished zeal, the shadows that loomed seemed to deepen, reflecting the magnitude of what they had set in motion. With the Nexus now fortified both digitally and physically, attention turned towards expanding the scientific and cultural outreach. A grand symposium was planned, designed to showcase the fruits of Earth-Andromeda cooperation to the world, a celebration of unity against the backdrop of attempted sabotage. The event was set to be broadcast globally, featuring presentations from Earth's and Andromeda's foremost thinkers, artists, and scientists. The highlight was to be the unveiling of a new technology derived from the collaboration, a prototype engine capable of manipulating space-time fabric, a first step towards practical interstellar travel. As the day of the symposium dawned, the Nexus buzzed with a palpable energy, the air charged with anticipation and the weight of what was to come. Security was at its peak, with checks and protocols seamlessly integrated to ensure the safety of the attendees and the integrity of the broadcast. Lyria, standing at the podium, addressed the gathered crowd, her voice resonant and clear. Today, we not only share a vision but also manifest a reality where distance and difference are no barriers to harmony and understanding. We stand together, a testament to what unity can achieve in the face of adversity. Eli, overseeing the event's production, watched from the wings, his pride in their accomplishments mingled with the responsibility he felt towards their shared mission. The presentations went smoothly, with delegates from various worlds discussing potential applications of the space-time engine, from medical transports that could bypass conventional travel limits to rapid response units for planetary disasters. As the symposium neared its conclusion, the prototype engine was activated, its core glowing with a pulsing light that mimicked the heartbeat of a new era. Just as the applause began to swell, a sudden unexpected power surge darkened the room, followed by a stark, eerie silence. The emergency systems kicked in, casting a dim, protective glow over the crowd. In the control room, Eli and Lyria scanned the monitors, tracing the surge to a sophisticated external hack that had momentarily bypassed their security measures. Without hesitation, Lyria addressed the unsettled audience, her calm demeanor a stark contrast to the tension that gripped the room. This moment reminds us that the path of progress is often met with resistance. Yet, it is our resolve to push forward that defines us, not the obstacles we encounter. Security teams quickly isolated and countered the hack, restoring power to the system. The engine, undamaged, resumed its operation, now a symbol not only of technological advancement but also of resilience. As the event concluded, the sense of victory was palpable, not just for the success of the symposium but for the strength demonstrated in the face of adversity. The global audience, having witnessed both the potential and the challenges of such monumental cooperation, responded with overwhelming support. In the days that followed, messages of solidarity poured in from around the world and beyond, each one a thread in the ever-growing tapestry of interstellar unity that the Nexus had come to symbolize. Lyria and Eli, standing amidst their creation, felt a profound sense of accomplishment and purpose. They knew that the journey ahead would be fraught with more challenges, but they also knew that the light they had ignited could illuminate the darkest of paths. As they looked out over the Nexus, now quiet in the aftermath of the symposium, they understood that their mission had evolved into something far greater than themselves. It was a beacon for the future, a meeting place for diverse civilizations, and a testament to the enduring power of shared dreams and aspirations. Under the vast, star-filled sky, the Nexus stood not just as a structure of metal and glass, but as a living, breathing entity, a nexus of light and shadow, where every challenge surmounted added another layer of strength to its foundations.